Alright, so welcome everyone. This, excuse me, this stream is first broadcasted live on Twitch, but it's also going to go up on YouTube. So for those who follow me on YouTube. And today we're going to continue with exploration of pastels. And I thought to do another series of studies like we did before, but this time, and still with a sky sort of theme, but this time space, constellations. So we'll see how we do. And I pulled out a few pastels preemptively. I'm sure that I might want to get some more. Actually, let me put them over here. And I do plan on using the black today, whereas before we were sort of, I was trying not to use black, but I ended up using black anyways. So first off, I'm going to block off space where we're going to paint, and I'm still using the sketchbook 12 by 9 70 pounds acid-free natural white. Okay, and it's from Pro Art. So this gives me a space where I would be painting, just to have a clear indication of space in my head. Really good for planning out, so that you don't go all the way to the edges, right? So just very lightly, and the lines don't have to be super straight. Mine are, if you can tell at all, rather crooked, but that's okay. Now I am working from a couple of reference photos, and I get my reference photos from Pixabay. It is a royalty-free site where you can get photos, and they're really good photos too. So I'm gonna pull up my reference photo. So this is going to be the first. I'm gonna go like this. Okay. And we are working on landscape format today as well. So I would say let's go with the black. What I have is the constellation is sort of right in the middle here, and around it is just dark space. Now, because I'm using pastels that are relatively soft and a paper that is not especially toothy, it doesn't have too much grain, I would suggest, if that's what you're using too, I would suggest that you layer very softly. Don't press hard on your pastel, because that's going to fill whatever tooth this paper has, and you won't be able to add additional layers. So even though I'm going in with the black first, I'm very, very light. So my space is sort of all around like that. Okay. And And then the way that we layer, wrong color, this color. Again, very, very light layers. And the darks go first. And you'll find that when you do touch two different color pastels to each other on the paper like this, one on top of the other, they will mix somewhat, but it's not to the extent that paint would mix, because it is dry. Okay. And I'm still using my riches and pastels. And you can be using whatever pastels you have. And it's the same kind of thing. And you'd be using the pastel on the side, not on the tip, like where the edge is, but on the side. And this gives you greater coverage. And also, maybe unplanned coverage. For example, the way that I have sort of these lines coming out like that, right? And that's totally fine. It gives interest. This is the fourth color that I'm putting down. And I'm noticing some difficulty in getting the color down. I'm picking it up on the pastel, but I'm not seeing it on paper so much. So I can tell that the paper's starting to clog up. There isn't too much that I can do. Soon. All right. Yeah, this one's not going down at all over there. This is sort of definitely just mixing. The great things about, or the great thing, so there's many great things about a constellation, is that it's so abstract that if you didn't call it a constellation, it can just be abstract art in pastel. Right. So what I'm doing here is I'm sort of taking advantage of what my pastels are doing on this paper, which is when I'm adding this lighter color, it's not coming off as very light, it's sort of mixing the layer underneath, and that's because the paper can't take any more layers. So I'm sort of going with that in order to get some sort of something that kind of looks okay. If you notice, the dark colors still come through, but it's the light colors that don't want to layer anymore. And that's just because of the paper. Now, one way of getting around this, if you do have something like that available, is a spray for pastels, and that's going to give some tooth as well. I am indoors right now, and I don't want to use that spray because I'm going to breathe it in. So I'm sort of just using what I can with what I have to, again, it is an abstract sort of something. That's what I'm sort of working with, trying to amplify. Here I am using more the edge of the pastel to put some of that color down, and because I'm looking for thinner lines. This color goes down quite well then. And again, this is sort of just exploration. It's nothing specific that we're looking for. It's just exploration and seeing how your pastels react. And at this point I am pushing down quite a bit on the pastel, because again the paper just doesn't want to take it. I'm trying to force some of that in there. This color seemed to go down quite well. I think I might leave it like that, because again there isn't much of anything else that I can do. I will, however, what if I try mixing, there we go. So the background isn't quite as black. Okay, how does this look on camera? Alright. Okay, so just playing around with some stuff. Okay, the next one I have a different reference photo. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Here we go. So that one's done. This one. So over here, let's see what happens if we change the order that we put things down. Let's see if I put down the lighter colors first, what happens. Okay. And then the darker colors. Again, we're exploring. We want to see what happens. We're curious. So I've got some of this color here, a touch over there. Got this darker color right in the middle. Okay. So I'm only looking for patches of color. I'm not trying to make sense of it just yet. I'm just looking for patches of color. Now I am adding this one color that doesn't exist on my reference photo. The combination of colors, as I've used them before, they do work together, which is why I know I'll be okay if I add this. Okay. I'm still trying to have a light touch, you know, as much as possible. And I guess I would also be interested what happens if I don't smudge at all. So I don't end up with this, but I kind of just let the colors be the way that I put them on. What will that kind of do? One thing that I would say whenever you are using black though, be very, very gentle, because it's a very strong color and it comes off the pastel really strongly. And you see when I'm adding this here now, because there's a color underneath already, it is mixing. That is another way of mixing pastels. Yeah, I like it better like that. A bit more mixed in. Okay. That won't go on anymore. I can add some more of that dark, like that. Let's see. I can just add. Nope. I think this is as good as we can make it. Okay. Da 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 da. I make noises when I'm done and when I'm more or less happy with something. Make noises. Okay, so this is the second abstract. I'm gonna call it that. Now, they both have something that it's going well for them. However, based on the type of paper that I'm using, I would say that maybe this approach works a little bit better, in that I went with the mid and lighter colors first. And you can even tell that there are some whites showing through, right? And that's sort of the white of the paper. And that works in this scenario because, you know, there could be stars or whichever little bits, right? Whereas over here, I couldn't add little bits anymore because the paper won't take the white anymore, right? So it still looks like something, right? It's okay. But I think I prefer this method better, all right? So this goes to show, you know, you have to know the type of paper and the type of pastels that you're using, what your supplies do, and the best way to know what your supplies do is to try them out, okay, and try different techniques with them so that you see what sort of works best, okay. So what I like to do now is go wash my hands because I'm really dirty, and I would like to come back and maybe find something else that we can use this technique with today, because we're only at half an hour, and that'll be that for today. Okay, so I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm looking at doing another type of constellation image, abstract image. However, we're going to have some land showing. Okay, and yeah, let's just do a smaller version of that. So a little bit bigger than the other one that we've done. Those are the two. But smaller than the page. Okay. Just going to turn this around this way. All right. So, my hands are so dirty. We're going to use the technique of going with the lighter colors first and then putting on the darker. So in here I'm going to have a tree showing in silhouette with a hill, okay, and right on top of this tree there's going to be the galaxy showing. Now remember how we talked about, or I have mentioned before, the idea of composition. So the more dramatic composition will place the tree somewhere just off center, not right in the middle of the page. What is going to draw the eye, because this is just a silhouette, it's black, matte black, right? Or, you know, it doesn't have to be matte black, but it's so very, very dark. It's going to be the light of the constellation. That's where the light is or the eye is going to be drawn to. And then the way that it sort of dissipates into the color of the sky. So because this is more of a landscape position, we're going to want the center to be, the center in the means of the focal point, the focal point to be slightly off center. So if this is my center-ish, I'm just eyeballing it, right? I'm gonna place the tree somewhere right here. So my tree is gonna go like this on this hill. Okay, and the constellation is arching this way, like that. Okay. Is that showing? Nothing's showing on camera. Okay. Okay, let me do it a little bit darker. Let me grab a, what is it? 6B pencil. Okay. So I was saying that this is my tree. Right here. This is going to be the hill. Okay, and my constellation is sort of arching this way. Okay, and it's going to be just off center because my center is really right here, but it's going to be just off center. Another possibility is, if we want to emphasize the sky more, turn this sideways or this way, and have the tree right in the middle and the constellation right in the middle. That can also look very, very good. All right. We're gonna do it this way, I think, first. We crop this. Actually, the other way will look a lot better. So let's do it that way. Okay, so we're gonna crop it right this way. So this is going to be my tree. I'm gonna make it bigger, like so, with a little bit of this land showing, like that. And my constellation is going to go that way. And that is the ultimate dramatic look. Can you see anything? Tree. Okay, this is the land. And constellation going this way. Okay, this should be good. Okay, hopefully it'll be okay. All right, so we're gonna start off with the constellation itself, with this sort of purpley color. I'm using it on the side. And we want some random sort of placement of this color almost. We want that. Okay, then I have some of this light blue that I want in here. More or less sort of down the middle. The same color is gonna happen over here as well. Okay, and then I want the sort of peachy color to be like so. Okay. And I'm going to add something that doesn't exist just because these are the colors that I'm having, that I have with me. And I want to emphasize where the focus of the eye or the painting would be, and where the eye is going to be drawn to, which is right here. Okay. Put that out a little bit. Okay. Okay. Gonna go back with this light purple to emphasize some areas before I bring in the really dark colors. Okay, so let's rumble. Colors are mixing over here, so I'm going light, I'm not pressing too much. kind of like that effect. Okay, so now I've got darker blue. And I'm carving into the light stuff as well. Okay, I am carving a little bit in here like that. And by carving I mean that I'm introducing the back, the sky color into this. Because we've got a little bit of that happening. Okay, now the really deep blue, wish green. Because we want colors to be somewhat blended in. We don't want them just to be sitting side by side. We want that overlap. Because it does add interest, and it makes it more natural looking. All right. So now with my black, let's say this is my tree, and I'm still using just the side of the pastel here. Except for this space right here where I'm using the tips, just to get in there and have a really nice dark sharp, I meant to say sharp. Alright, that's my silhouette right there. Da, da, da. This is what it looks like. Okay. Now, question is, we want to blend out any areas, or do we want to leave them like that? Or even better, because I've got black down here, kind of feel like I need to add it into the sky a little bit as well, because so that it doesn't have such a standing out type of feel. Black tends to stand out like a sore thumb. we are cleaning up the sky. Okay, and maybe I want more dot-like marks for this constellation here in the middle. I'm blending all of this out just with this lighter color. And I might want to add in some of these darks. So now I'm sort of just looking at the painting itself to try to figure out what else does it need, right? I like that it has a bit of an uneven shape that works for us. It adds more interest, you know. And I'm using very small sort of circular movements as I'm adding this in. And at this point, this sort of as much as the paper can take. It's not going to be able to take a bunch more than that. And so as we saw previously, the light colors are not going to lie on top. They don't like to do that. The paper doesn't like it. So what's going to happen is that any light color that you put on top is sort of just going to blend the stuff that you already have in there. So I'm taking advantage of that to blend things out a bit. And I'm emphasizing certain things that have been blended out too much, maybe. Okay, again, I want this to be the focus of the painting, this constellation here, as opposed to the tree or another area in the painting. And what I'm trying to do here is add contrast, because that's going to help the light pieces stand out more close to those darker pieces. I'm trying to blend this out into the sky color. Okay, so let's see. There we are. And I think what I would want to do is, there we go. This works. So just with the very tip of the pastel, almost dots, and you roll it a little bit, and that adds a little bit more interest. I will do that with white too, to show that there are stars in this constellation. I have a feeling that the white is not going to show up though, so I'm doing it with what I have. Kind of need to have a very sharp edge to that pastel though. Alright, let's give it a try with this light. It's not a white, it's a very, very light peachy color. Oh, look, I can do it. It's only going to show up on the darker layers underneath. Okay. So I have it on the edge and then I'm rolling it and I'm getting all these dots and almost like lines happening. But that can indicate some clusters of stars. Right, so that's what I was doing with the little dots here. Sort of clusters of stars. Right, so I'm gonna call that one sort of done. And I think I've achieved my goal, which was, with this particular painting anyways, which was for the eye to be drawn to the light, to that sort of constellation and how busy it is and what's happening. It's going to go straight from the bottom straight up because of the way that I've used the colors and because of the silhouette here. Alright, so I'll leave it at that for today. I hope that this was helpful for you in some way, and I'll see you in my next stream. So I hope you have a good day or a good night, and I'll see you in a bit. Okay, bye for now.